TFT's Vegas Open brought over 500 high-level TFT players to battle it out for a prize pool of $300,000. Today, I'm going to talk about 5 tricks and learnings to take away from this tournament. Let's go. After some buffs, True Damage Akali is one of the strongest carries on the patch, and a trick to elevate her is to give her 40 AP. Akali's ability throws 3 waves of blades, dealing physical damage. An overlooked part of this ability is that it refunds mana based on how many enemies survive her ability. This refunded mana amount also scales off of AP, and at 40 AP, Akali will reliably recast her ability after just one auto attack if she doesn't kill her targets. This makes breaking through frontline much faster. Many damage items give both AP and AD, including Hand of Justice, Giant Slayer, and Guardbreaker. In this example, Milk has Hand of Justice giving either 15 or 30 AP based on a 50-50 chance, and Giant Slayer giving additional 20. While Akali getting hit also generates her mana, the bonus refunds from the AP scaling help her get her cast out extremely quickly. While this isn't necessary, 40 is a great number to shoot for. 2 Healthy is a gold augment that gives all of your units 110 health for each unique 2-cost unit on your board. Last set, 2 Healthy multicasters stole the show, having 5 2-costs that connected perfectly. However, in set 10, it's not so clear. North American player Broccoli made it to the top 8 of the tournament, playing a new spin on 2 Healthy by playing around Lulu. He played this line twice in the tournament, first going for Lulu 3-star, and the second time using her as a pivot piece into Ahri. Let's compare 2 Healthy to the other health-based gold augments, Cybernetic Bulk and 3's a Crowd. Golden Bulk gives 333 health to units but requires them to have at least one component. 3's a Crowd gives 80 health for each 3 cost but can't appear in stage 2-1. 2 Healthy, however, is available at 2-1. The advantage over Bulk that 2 Healthy has is that to maximize Bulk, you often have to split up your components to get maximum usage, whereas with 2 Healthy, you can slam components together to make full stronger items. At 3 2 costs, 2 Healthy gives the same health value as Bulk, and at 4, it outperforms it, making it a very strong augment for the early game. The learning? Use 2 Healthy as a flexible augment to play for an early game win streak into a strong endgame board, rather than forcing it a 2-cost reroll comp. With an early win streak and a strong economy, you can opt to take more combat augments rather than econ ones, making you stronger in the endgame. While you'll eventually lose augment value as you play legendaries over 2 costs, set 10 has many 2 costs that still get played as connectors for legendary boards, especially Senna and Bard. The patch before Vegas brought buffs to both True Damage Akali and Caitlyn, so it's no wonder we saw True Damage Emblem Caitlyn become a powerhouse in the tournament. The True Damage trait makes her units deal bonus True Damage, and the special bonus for the emblem holder is 10% bonus True Damage. We play for 6 True Damage, where you can add Garen to activate both 8-bit and Sentinel for Echo, with Rapid Fire with Senna. With 2 emblems, you can go for 9 True Damage if you hit an early Kiana and a True Damage Headliner Akali. We saw players end on True Damage Caitlyn pretty often, but you can also use her as a transition piece into a legendary like Lucian, Jhin, and Ziggs. Set 10's Headliner mechanic has a lot of nuance, but at Vegas we saw which headliners players preferred. Every patch brings balance changes to headliners, and the last 2 were no exception. Here's what players rated as the strongest headliners for the early game. Cassante became the strongest 1-cost headliner tank after receiving lots of buffs. You can play around the Heartsteel headliner to get 3 and 5 Heartsteel in ASAP. Having a headliner Sentinel is also very strong for the frontline as well. Corki is rated as the best damage headliner, excelling at holding AD items. Both trait headliners are great. Annie with Emo is the best AP damage headliner, as Corki doesn't use AP very well. Emo 2 makes her cast a lot faster, and without it you'd have to play an Amumu or Vex to activate the trait for Annie. Of course, you can still play any reroll, but for transition purposes, these are the top 3. After patches, most headliners are playable early game, although Taric, Nami, and Vi still feel pretty weak. Since the first combat takes place after you see your shop on 2-1, you're going to see 3 shops and therefore 3 different choices of 1-cost headliners before your first combat. If you hit a strong headliner, congrats. Hold your items on the strong headliner. Pretty often, 1-cost headliners are strong enough to carry you through the mid-game. You can scout to see if you need to upgrade your headliner if you feel too weak compared to your opponents. This usually happens on 3-2, 3-5, 4-2, and 4-5. If you feel like you have a weak board at 2-1 or have lots of pairs, you can opt to not buy a headliner and play a weaker board. From here, you can choose to level up during combat to get a chance at a strong 2-cost headliner, or play for a lost streak into a stronger mid-game. You get a bonus gold for each multiple of 10 gold you have, up to 5 gold at 50. For this reason, usually on neutral rounds, you want to end with a multiple of 10 or the full 50. This means most players will choose to spend their money the next round after the interest drops, but before the combat starts. However, at Vegas we saw a chunk of players choosing to roll during the neutral round instead, playing against fundamentals. This idea isn't new to Vegas, but let's take a look at why you would do this. This play applies to all levels, but we'll focus on level 8. Number 1, being first to the punch. There are only a certain amount of each unit in the pool that every player can draw from, and in a 4-cost meta, everyone wants to roll on level 8 to hit their headliners. Players commonly level to 8 on 4-2 or 4-1 and roll. Since there's a limited amount of units, if you're too behind, it can be hard to hit a specific 4-cost as other players have already taken them first. However, if you start rolling on level 8 ahead of others, you have a higher chance of a specific unit as more copies of it are still in the pool. This can be a reason why you want to roll on neutrals, which is more relevant if your strategy revolves around a highly contested unit. Practically, you spend extra gold in the form of 1 or 2 rounds of interest to get access to the unit pool faster. So why do players roll on certain round numbers? In TFT, you gain 2 XP per turn passively and can pay for 4 XP at a time. Each level of XP requirement is a multiple of 4, meaning that every other round if you buy XP, you'll land at the perfect amount of 0, effectively saving you 4 gold. This is called leveling on interval. Whereas if you did that the round before or after, you'd be at 2 XP less or extra, effectively spending 4 more gold. This is called leveling off interval. The on interval rounds people commonly roll on are 3-2, 3-5, 4-2, 4-5, and so on. Commonly, players would go to 8 on 4-2 and roll, but then players who wanted to raise the tempo and roll earlier started rolling on 4-1, which is pretty common nowadays. To roll faster than them, you can level on 3-7, the neutral round. Notice importantly that neutral rounds are also on interval, meaning that it costs the same amount of gold to level on 3-7 as it does on 4-1. Reason number 2 is simply the amount of time. Every shop has 5 units, meaning every time you roll, you have at least 5 new decisions to make. Is this the unit I'm looking for? Should I hold this unit? Should I replace something on my board? Does this unit even fit with my game plan or my augments? There's just a lot to take in. If you roll on neutrals, you have the entire extra round, plus the planning phase of the next one to transition your board. This is especially useful if you have augments like Hedge Fund or Final Reserves, where you need to spend a ton of gold in one round, often with not a lot of HP to spare. Or maybe you're in a high pressure environment like being on stage in Vegas, or you're a newer player and don't have enough practice to make 200 decisions in 20 seconds, which is totally reasonable. To sum it up, rolling on neutrals gives us access to copies of units before other players, while only costing the amount of interest you would have gained by holding. It also just gives us more time to make decisions. That wraps up today's video. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for a 5 comps video for patch 13.25 coming up soon. To be honest, I wanted to get this video up last week, but I got pretty sick, but I'm hoping to get back on the groove soon. Thanks again, happy holidays, and climb on.